In today's video, you're going to pick up how to speak confidently to anyone. Now, first of all, let me say this. Even though I have a certified speech coaching background and I love to speak, I'm a speaker, I am an introvert by nature. I recharge best by being by myself, being alone, reading a book, spending time with my family. So if you think that you have to be an extrovert, you have to be outgoing to speak confidently to anyone, let me just throw that out right away because that is absolutely not true. That being said, networking or the ability to speak to people, whether you're trying to do it for business or just in life or for relationships, it's a necessary skill to have. So in this video, you're going to pick up 3 tips that are going to help you to speak with more confidence to anyone you meet. The first tip is breathe. What you may notice and what I've noticed is that when people are speaking and they get nervous, they do this shallow breathing in their chest and they don't really pay attention to how they're breathing. We take breathing for granted because you have to do it to live. But if you just take a few deep breaths in through your nose, and out through your mouth, your heart rate actually slows down. So if you're going to meet someone, if you're going to sit in an interview, if you're going to be nervous for any reason, when you are meeting someone and you want to speak confidently, breathe in first. Just take a few deep breaths in and out. And that's a pronounced deep breath, but even when you're speaking to someone, just make sure you check in with your breathing. Make sure that you take some pause breaths in between speaking to someone, and that will slow your heart rate down. And if you have a slow heart rate, you'll speak slower and you'll automatically not necessarily feel that your confidence is through the roof, but you'll be less nervous, less anxious because oxygen is flowing through you. So that's number 1, breathe. The second tip is what I call the ball approach. Now, I'm a tennis fan. I've loved watching tennis for most of my life. And the object of tennis is quite simply to hit the ball where your opponent is not. If you can hit it to a place that they can't get to, then you'll win that point and probably the game and the match. Now, when it comes to speaking to someone, to be able to speak confidently, make sure that you go where they're not. And what do I mean by that? Ask them questions. So they may want to lead the conversation, but if you can ask questions about things that they have to think of, get them to go places that they're not currently thinking, they'll have to answer questions and all of the pressure is off of you. You don't have to think about coming up with things to say. Ask questions to the person that you're talking to because everyone's favorite topic to speak about is themselves. Now, here's the thing. Try to ask questions that are open-ended. So not questions that can just be answered with a yes or no, but questions that require an explanation. So instead of, do you have a family? Asking, what are some of the favorite things you like to do with your family? What are the aspects of your job that you love the most? So when you do that, you can get them to speak. And as they speak more, you can think of even more questions to answer. And I promise you, you may think that you're not getting enough information about yourself out, but what's going to happen is at the end of that conversation, people will say, wow, I loved speaking to that person. They were such a great conversationalist. It's happened to me that people have said that about me and they don't even know that much about me. All I do is I get them to go where they're not. I ask them questions that get them to do the talking. And while I'm doing that, I'm still breathing and I'm feeling confident because there's a conversation flowing. The final tip when it comes to speaking confidently to anyone is what I call build. Building yourself up. And how do you do that? Not by talking about yourself or bragging about yourself, but just be a person who absorbs knowledge, who likes to read, who likes to learn. Because what will happen is if you pick subjects to learn and read about and always adding information to the knowledge base that you have, always be a person that's learning and curious about life. What's going to happen is when you speak to a variety of people, you'll see this over and over again. Someone will mention something and you'll be able to say, oh yeah, I did read something about that, or I saw something about that. And then you can add flavor to the conversation. If you start to learn about a variety of topics and just take interest in many things, people will look at you not only as someone who listens to them, who lets them talk, but allows them to have conversations about a wide variety of topics because you can add just a little tidbit of information because you've built yourself up. So remember that. Build yourself up and you'll have topics to talk about with someone. And that's all a confident conversation is, your ability to carry that conversation. Most people don't want to talk to people because they say, what am I going to talk about? How am I going to keep this conversation going? This person's going to find me boring. I promise you, if you breathe, you use the ball technique and ask open-ended questions, and you build yourself up so that you always have something to kind of add to the conversation, you will speak more confidently to anyone. Now, if this video was helpful to you, remember to like it, add a comment below. Let me know what you think of this topic and if it's going to help you speak more confidently when you meet someone else.